He's your Republican candidate for U.S. House of Representatives, Illinois' 8th Congressional District. Let's see here. Born in Elgin, raised in Carpentersville, lives there now. State wrestling champion Amy Jacobson went to Indiana University.
Should have gone to Iowa.
They have a lot of great wrestlers out there and NFL centers, I hear. Let's see. Then, ladies and gentlemen, he spent about 23 years serving our country in the United States Marine Corps, infantry officer, Bronze Star. Let's see. Also a Navy Medal for Valor, Navy Achievement Medal, service medals. He then went out to Hollywood, worked at a talent agency. Now he's back here, and he'd love to be a congressman for you. We welcome to the program for a first visit, Colonel Larry Kafish is here. Colonel, thanks for your service to our country, and thanks for your time this morning in joining the John and Amy Show. How are you, sir?
Hey, John, Amy, we're doing great. Thank you so much for asking. Thanks for having me on.
So you were deployed 5 different times in Iraq and Afghanistan. You've been there. You've seen the threat face to face. Were you surprised yesterday when Congresswoman Tammy Duckworth voted no on a measure to fund, train, and equip Syrian rebels?
Well, yes. I mean, that's surprising to me. For anybody who has experience on the ground over there and understands the threat that ISIS brings, you have to deal with the issue. It's a little bit complex because we know if we're going to be supporting those rebels in Syria, some of those folks aren't our best friends either. But at the current time, we have to address the closest alligator to the boat, and that's ISIS, and that does need to be dealt with first. We're going to have to deal with probably the rebels at a later time, but first things first, we should be supporting this.
Right. So if you were in Washington, you would have voted yes on this measure.
Absolutely.
And how serious of a threat do you feel ISIS is, not only overseas but here at home?
It's a threat. It's a threat. I think you have to put it in perspective, though. It's ISIS is not the biggest problem. Okay, ISIS is a symptom of the problem, and this is what we've been getting wrong on all the different papers, all the different news pieces, all the different speakers. They're addressing this issue as ISIS is something we haven't seen. ISIS is this unique entity. ISIS is the end-all, be-all. ISIS is a threat, but it's a symptom of the threat. You get rid of ISIS, what's going to be next? Mm-hmm. We got Al-Shabaab. We got Hamas. We got Hakimi. We've got hundreds of other organizations with the same basic fundamental belief that will fill their gaps as soon as we get rid of them. So you have to put that into perspective. Is that the threat? So we can go there. We can send our military there and support the Iraqi forces, the Kurdish forces, the Syrian rebels, and we could probably be very effective at eliminating the threat of ISIS. But we don't get rid of the problem. And the problem, I mean, we all know this, it's violent Islamic fundamentalism.
Thank you. And, I ask this of all guests and politicians and people who want to represent us. And not that you would have this opportunity, obviously, as a member of Congress. And it's a politically loaded question. It's a religious question as well. But what we need to do is say to our friends in the Muslim community here and around the world, our Islamic friends, hey, I need you to force your religion or move it along to a reformation where the radical aspects of your religion are tamped down. But I can't do that. I need you to do that. How do we get there?
Well, that is what we should be focusing on. At the end of the day, I wrote a paper at the Naval War College back in 2008 talking exactly about this. To address this problem honestly, effectively, and thoroughly, you have to look at the main problem. And that is violent Islamic fundamentalism. I think that's probably the best term. And the way you do that is not with bombs and bullets. Bombs and bullets is an aspect of a strategy to be successful, but it's only about a quarter. This strategy needs to be based upon 4 pillars: information, education, reformation, and then elimination. Okay? Information, for example, when I was there on my second to last tour in Afghanistan, working with the community, one of the most effective things we were able to do was establish a radio station. The folks in that community and those areas in the world have no information. Most had no idea about 9/11. Most have no idea about what's happening on a day-to-day basis, like weekly or annual. And I would get phone calls coming in routinely to the radio station saying, is that true? Is this true? And we would say, well, of course. And they'd say, well, we've never heard that before. So there's a problem there. We have an information gap where the populations are ill-informed. And then it doesn't help if you have an education level of less than 85% or more than 85% illiteracy.
Yeah, and desperate situations as well. Just desperate poverty, no future. It's just a mess. It's a swamp. We're talking here with Colonel Larry Kafish. He is a Republican challenger to Democrat Tammy Duckworth coming up here, 8th Congressional District in Illinois. Tammy Duckworth recently called you unfit to serve in Congress simply for quoting the physician Ben Carson, who a lot of us admire. You reposted on your Facebook page a quote from Ben Carson just saying, look, the problems in black America, the black community in Chicago and other places is systemic. Family structure, violent crimes, growing poverty. And you just quoted Ben Carson and then were called unfit to hold office. That seemed to be an overreaction from Tammy Duckworth. Your thoughts?
Well, I think we struck a nerve. This could not be more true. Coming from one of the most honorable, honest, respected leaders today, Dr. Ben Carson, he was spot on, and that's why I wanted to share it with my followers, because this is an issue. This is the core issue of this election. We have a Democratic Party that says they're taking care of those that are in most need. And here's a perfect example identifying, no, that's not true. Actually, life has gotten significantly worse for the people that you say you're there supporting. You know, we talk about the deteriorating family structure, increase in violent crimes, growing poverty, and growing dependence. These are Ben Carson's words. And you know, I don't think you can question his integrity or his insight from that in that world. So I think this is the issue of this particular election. Who is going to take care of the population? I'll tell you this, you know, as a leader in the Marine Corps, my job is to make sure my people are better off without me than with me. Meaning I've got to train them. I have to prepare them. I have to educate them. I have to challenge them. I have to counsel and inspire them so that if things go bad, I go away, they can perform better without me than with me. We have a party right now, the Democratic Party, that is doing the exact opposite. They are creating so much dependency that if they fall away, you know, some folks can't survive. That is unacceptable. That is a failure in leadership, and that is a failure of what we should be doing, trying to help those in need to improve their quality of life. And we can do this. But you got to be honest, and you got to be clear. You got to be direct. And the fact that she attacked me on this particular quote of Ben Carson is indicative. This is the nerve. They know that what they've been preaching is not true, and if it comes out and becomes more apparent, it's going to have negative consequences.
Well said, Colonel. Hey, I wanted to ask you, switch gears a little bit and ask you about money. Our colleague and former Congressman Joe Walsh was largely left to fend for himself when it came to funding from the National Republican Congressional Committee. Have they given any money to your campaign?
No, not yet. The only people that have donated to our campaign are my family and friends and people that believe in what I stand for. Honest leadership, selfless service, and a commitment to make sure this economy is thriving, which it could with 4 decisions if we made today would have an effect tomorrow.
And what website, if people want, you know, if they're listening here this morning, they want to help out your campaign, where can they go?
My website is kfishforcongress.com. Kfish is spelled K-A-I, F as in Foxtrot, E, S as in Sierra, H as in Hotel, and you pull up Larry Kafish, it'll be the first thing on Google.
Well, thank you for your service. Good luck in your efforts coming up here in November. It's a tough road because of redistricting. We understand that. And I wish that the RNC would put a little cash behind you because I think you're a future star.
Well, they actually, on their behalf, they've talked to me very, very closely. They've been very supportive. They've been helping me, and I do believe they'll be supporting us when the time is right.
Thank you, Colonel, and good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Take care. Colonel Larry Kafish joining us here on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
Now, he makes sense. I like him.
Well, Republicans are very smart to find a guy with that service record to go up against Tammy Duckworth, who has been a guest on this program, and will once again reach out to her and ask her about her vote yesterday as soon as possible. It's John and Amy, AM 560, The Answer.